our way up to Kings Mountain State Park for Memorial Day weekend, we decided to stop off at Landsford Canal State Park to see the spider lilies.
And we are so glad we did. What an amazing short stop. It's worth it.
It's a fairly small park. There's no camping. There's really just the canal, which was built 1700s. I can't remember. Yeah, it was a canal built to try and get around a rocky part of the river where they needed to be able to navigate some boats down, so they cut in a canal. And the canal is no longer used, but you can see the remnants of it on the hike along the Catawba River. And it's a really pretty walk. It's a very smooth path. It's very level. Very well traveled.
Yes, very well traveled. So if there are also a lot of people kayaking down the Catawba, and so then there were people walking back up the trail. So they had kayaked down, left their boats, and were walking back up.
It's a 1.5 mile trail from the beginning to the end. So, like you said, what a lot of folks do is kayak down. They just built a brand new parking lot up at the top where the put-in is for the kayaks, and then along the river, along the Catawba River, between that new put-in and where the office store is, there are tons of picnic tables, places to sit and enjoy the river, even some little cutouts where you can just kind of sit and look out over the water.
And we had packed a lunch and sat right there by the river, had this beautiful picnic lunch. There were turtles sunning themselves on logs and all kinds of...
and you see the kayakers go by.
And lots and lots of kayakers there.
So the store is a really neat store. It's actually an old log cabin that was built, I believe they said, in Chester in the 1700s. In 1970, it was donated to the state park to be used. It's a dog trot, typical construction, the two pods with the breezeway through the middle. So that's a really neat. They had some statues out on the
they did. They
on
had
the porch.
Some great Indian cutouts and those kind of things. We've got some great pictures of the kids with them. They had a big bear rug hanging on the wall, and it was a really cool store. The ranger there was very, very knowledgeable, very, very helpful.
Right, and so based on his suggestion, we walked about halfway down the trail, so about 3/4 of a mile. It actually splits. There's one that's what they call the nature trail, which goes along the edge of the river, or you can take the canal trail, which follows the old canal path right along, and you can see a couple of the structures, old bridge pilings where there was a walk bridge across.
And they loop together. So we took the nature trail down, canal trail back.
That's right.
Just so we could see.
Right where they converge, you go maybe 20 yards, and there is a platform.
An overlook.
That overlooks where the lilies
There's like
are.
a bend in the Catawba River. And I'll be honest, when we said we were hiking down to see the lilies in bloom, I assumed it was going to be a couple little pods of lilies. And my reaction, but I think was the same as everybody as we sat there. You came around kind of a bend in the river, and there's a lot of trees between you and the river in that part of the trail. Most of the time you could see the river, but right there was a lot of trees, and then you come out onto this overlook
where you see them,
and everybody's reaction, and mine was the same, was whoa or wow. It was like this football field of lilies, at least.
We happened to get very lucky. According to the Park Service, the day we got there was the day that the lilies were at peak bloom. So they've been posting on their Facebook page every couple days an update on how they were blooming. We happened to hit it perfect. They typically bloom from mid-May to about mid-June.
They're rocky shoal spider lilies.
They grow in clear, fast-running water where there are rocks for them to root into. So it's a very specific type of environment that they have to live in, and that's an environment that's going away with a lot of the dams that have been built over the decades. There's not a lot of places for them. This is the largest known grove, or I guess you would call it a growing
area
of the Rocky Shoals spider lilies.
And it's kind of been taken over. We'll talk later about some of our other adventures, but Rock Hill, that spider lily shows up in a lot of things in the Rock Hill, York area. But I mean, when I tell you that it was like a mind-blowing, like it was not at all what I expected, and it was amazing. And obviously, you know, you might not be able to make it this year, but definitely put that on your bucket list for mid-May to mid-June, because
there was even an artist there that was painting the spider lilies, because it was such a unique time, and we're right there.
And we'll link his Instagram in the bottom
description below.
Eric Schultzman, I believe, and he was just amazing. Just the progress we watched him do right then, but it was gorgeous.
And he even admitted that this was probably one of the fastest paintings that kind of came together for him. He said normally it takes him a while, but this one just came together because it was just right there in front of him.
And it was just a gorgeous. It was undescribable.
Right, and then we didn't go down to the southern end of the canal because we had the kids with us and we had the camper behind us. The ranger suggested you could drive down to the takeout area and then walk right there at that end. There is some more stonework from the original canal. There's another bridge overlook, kind of
another
walkway
overlook, yeah.
That you can kind of see the history and the work that went into those folks that built the canal.
And maybe when we're on another trip in that area, we'll just take when we're taking the car. But we did have the camper. But if you are traveling through and you do have a camper or a trailer, that new parking lot, when you first come in, you're looking at a really tight parking lot, playground, camp store area, and it was like, eek! But there is a brand new big parking lot up toward the top.
Where the put in is,
and there is large spot parking for boats, trailers, and the RV.
Probably buses.
Buses. I would think there would be lots of buses. There was, and I would say, no matter your age or physical ability, that trail was doable.
We saw somebody with a walker.
We saw people with walkers. Saw lots of people with canes. We saw super fitness people that were carrying kayaks. It just was a little bit of everything, and it was well worth it.
Yeah.
To make that trip to the overlook at least.
Yeah, I definitely want to suggest stopping off at Landsford Canal, especially during the time that the spider lilies are in bloom.
The store probably used to be